Okay, so lesson 31. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I just wanted to make a few comments on this lesson. One of the things it says is, watch thoughts come and go as dispassionately as possible. And for me, this is really, I love that it said that, because that for me is the key to finding peace. If you can watch your thoughts dispassionately as possible, watch them come and go. So it's like, so is the watcher of thoughts, that watches thoughts come and go, is, you know, that for me is going towards that which is always eternally present and at peace and can never be affected by what is coming and going. So, and it says, watch the thoughts dispassionately come and go. So what is the key problem with the ego? Is that people are not watching their thoughts dispassionately. People are watching some of their thoughts with great interest. They're hooking into certain thoughts. Therefore, that sense of peace and beingness and presence and faith and happiness and joy and trust is lost, because what happens is that as soon as there's interest in the field of thoughts, then one suddenly gets lost and hooked into the field of thoughts. And one is in a place of what I'd call some level of separation. You know, all thoughts are like, oh, if only this was better, if that didn't happen. You know, you're no longer in peace. You're no longer in that, as St. Francis says, what you're looking for is where you're looking from. What is watching the thoughts dispassionately? That is at peace. That is always in silence and beingness and presence, and is intuitive and is spontaneous. But when as soon as you're in the field of thinking, then you're in a world of flux, essentially. So to the extent you're able to watch your thoughts, to be the watcher of the thoughts as they dispassionately come and go, you're no longer a victim of them. So I thought that was a lovely statement from today's lesson. And do not dwell on any one in particular, but try to let the stream move on evenly and calmly, without any special investment on your part, just saying the same thing. As you sit quietly, watch your thoughts. Repeat today's idea to yourself. So, for example, I might see a picture of war, and I might get interested in that picture, or I might have a picture that life is unfair, thought that life is unfair. So what the lesson is saying, I'm watching those thoughts and images, but I'm saying I'm not a victim of them. But that's kind of like an affirmation statement, just to unhook from getting lost and hooked into those images and thoughts. So as you do that, then suddenly inner peace and presence and beingness starts to become prevalent. So, you know, one is not a victim of any thought, of any image, of anything going on, either in the thought field or externally.
That's holding the book.
Letting go.
There you go. But you can say more, I guess.
I can say more than letting go. It's kind of like a paradox, isn't it? Surrender is letting go, and letting go is surrender. But how do you do it? You know, so they kind of mean the same thing. Well, surrender. I mean, I would answer that question on surrender depending on what it is you're having to let go of. So, for example, letting go of a belief system is one thing. Letting go of a feeling, I would answer the thing. But okay, for me, it's a good question. So, the ego for me is as I see it, the ego is constructed of two aspects. One is levels of suppressed feelings within the ego, and the other are the belief systems that are held within the ego. So, if I let go of all the suppressed feelings that I'm holding within me, and allow them to release, and I'll describe how I do that, and I can let go of every single belief system that I've been programmed with, then I will get to what I've been describing, that eternal peace, that eternal silence, that feeling of coming home. It's described as the beingness or oneness, and when free of all belief systems which create separation, then that state resides. So, okay, so how do you let go of thoughts, like conflicting thoughts, like I'm bad, or I shouldn't have eaten that cake yesterday, or whatever it is. So, well, actually, we'll be doing that a little bit. That's the cancelling of beliefs.
Yeah.
So we'll do an exercise on that a bit later. So one of the things that Hawkins described, and it's modified from, actually it's a good introduction. We'll do the cancelling beliefs first before we do the lesson. So Dr. Hawkins, who let go of about 20 illnesses himself, through doing various things, but also the Course in Miracles, he said that lesson 14 of A Course in Miracles, and this sounds quite amazing, but so lesson 14 of A Course in Miracles says God did not create cancer, so it's not real. Now, if there's any scientists, I mean, I studied biochemistry, and you'd think, surely that can't work. God did not create cancer, so it's not real. But I mean, he'd let go of about 20 illnesses. Other people had let go of cancer and AIDS. I've let go of several illnesses myself, including asthma, gout, and kidney failure. So it sounds extraordinary, but maybe there is a more spiritual basis to the universe than what one first thinks. So you can use, like, God did not. So how do you let go of a belief? Like, my view on how one gets cancer, my view is that if there's too much suppressed guilt within the system and suppressed emotions, the feeling of too much guilt that's held within the body and too much negativity, anger, fear, is that it creates an energy field, which means that I deserve punishment. And that will then pick up from what I call the collective. We have the collective belief systems that are held within society. So some kind of illness or some kind of negative behavior will be attracted. For example, cancer as a form of punishment, or a food disorder, or whatever it may be. So if I feel out those feelings and just do cancel my belief, because if I pick that belief up and it manifested, then I can cancel it. So one way is to say, God did not create cancer, so it's not real, or God did not create poverty, so it's not real, or God did not create kidney failure, so it's not real, or God did not create separation between myself and others, so it is not real. All of those things. It's a powerful way of letting go of belief systems that are held. Apart from doing all 365 lessons, also I do self-inquiry, which I might do later. How you can let go of a belief is to ask, if I say I'm ugly, if I have a belief I'm ugly, then I can go, what's observing? What's observing this belief? You see, that's what I call the observer. So there's a thought, I'm ugly, it's a belief. But what I ask the question, what is observing that thought? Is that which is observing, so it's an experiential thing. So, oh, actually there's something that's still and silent, which observes the thought, which is not the thought. So then that disempowers the belief system. So that's another way. Also Hawkins described another modified form of God did not create cancer, or whatever. God did not create clumsiness, so it's not real. God did not create fear, so it's not real. It can be any belief system you're holding, whether a physical condition, a mental condition, or a belief about others, or a belief about oneself. But Hawkins described another way, which I also use, which is, I cancel my belief in cancer. I'm an infinite being subject only to what I hold in mind.
Do you just say this things like you say, God did not create cancer, so it's not real? You just say it out loud, you think it, or how do you actually do it?
It's a good question. So what I did, the Course in Miracles does give instruction, actually, on how to do it. But the way I did it was, I would have my morning prayers that I would do, like the prayer of St. Francis, but then I would do all my cancellings of beliefs as well, in my head, on my knees in the morning, and then
silently then.
In my head. But I can say it out loud. In the group I say it out loud when we go around as a group. Also, the Course in Miracles gave very good instruction on how to do it. So it says more or less when the negative belief comes up, you say it at that point. So throughout the day, for example, let's say I cancel my, in the morning I say I cancel my belief I'm ugly. God did not create ugliness in me, so it's not real. Or I cancel my belief in ugliness. I'm an infinite being subject only to what I hold in mind. But let's say halfway through the day or later on in the day, I catch myself, oh, I'm ugly. Then I cancel my belief in ugliness. I'm an infinite being subject only to what I hold in mind. So I just do it throughout the day whenever the thought pops up. So that's how I do it. It took, how quick is this? Well, I think for some things it can be very, very quick. It took a lot of my major illnesses 3 to 5 years before they suddenly left. So it's not like you do it one day, like God did not create asthma, so it's not real, and tomorrow it's like there's no asthma. I mean, some of them took a little bit of time to clear, but it was definitely worth it. Now, I would say this, just for all the skeptics in here, that one of the major things that was a shift in terms of the scientific view was, I'm sure some of you are familiar, was the Heisenberg principle. And the Heisenberg principle, a famous scientist, Heisenberg, I'm not sure if he got the Nobel Prize, but it was very good research, and showed that if a scientist observes phenomena, the phenomena change, which is very much what we're talking about, the observer here. So let's say a scientist observes some phenomena, it might, for example, it might shift between particles to waves, just by someone looking at the phenomena. So that just means that, what is the power of consciousness? And of course, some of you may be familiar with the saints. Of course, if you let go of enough of the ego, then miracles tend to happen quite frequently. And so you'd hear stories like with Mother Teresa, someone would visit them with cancer and they'd lose their cancer. So when you let go of enough of the ego, that love, power and presence then start, all kinds of the miraculous starts to occur. That's how I see why my illnesses left me, was because when you access that inner power, that inner peace, that non-separated sense of self, the authentic self, then all these miracles occur. So it's like, and I had a white light spiritual experience with Muji, one of the teachers, who asked me what I was beyond my thoughts. And so I can see it's like when you connect to that peace and love, when you're out of your thinking and out of the belief systems, then you connect to an enormous power, source of power and love, which can heal the body and create a much more authentic life, and miracles can occur. So, okay, surrender. The other thing, and I share about it a lot, is what about when feelings come up? And let's say like a lot of fear comes up or a lot of anger comes up. There are many ways of doing it, but the way I like to do it, apart from going into the observer, is just like I used to have, very, very quickly, I used to have like, with gout, how I'd feel out the feelings. Suddenly I would get like a huge pain in the feet, and the feet would become inflamed with a gout attack. So all I would do then is I would try and stop labeling, stop making any stories about the pain in the foot. Like, I wish this, for me to make any story about it is a form of resistance. It's non-acceptance. So you could say it's a form of not surrendering to what is now. Surrendering to now, surrendering to what is, if it's raining, to surrender to the rain means I accept the rain without any mental resistance. I don't sort of say to myself, I wish it wasn't raining today, I wish it was sunny, poor me, it's raining. You just allow. So it's like full allowing or acceptance, which is also surrender. So it's like stop labeling that there's pain, and then just be fully present with the feeling of the pain. And this is equal for whether it be fear, whether it be fear or guilt or shame or anger or any other feeling. So you just, so the thoughts would come up like this is painful, but you just let the thought go as quickly as possible and just bring your awareness back to being fully present with the feeling. And then another thought comes in, like, oh, this pain is going to go on for too long. But no, let that thought go as quickly as possible and just be fully present with the feeling. So as you do that, what will happen then, you start to become, it's almost like you welcome it, there's a spike of energy, and then you start to become one with the feeling, because you're not labeling it or making stories about it. Then you have the things, you let go of more labeling, because, you know, as I saw it, you know, even the thought of, it's in my foot, let go of that, or it's in this location. So let go of all labels, and then it starts to become more general. It goes off into a sort of into the ether, and then as you start to feel, and then it's gone in about 20, 30 minutes. There's no pain in the thing, and then I can walk around for a few minutes, and it will come back again a bit. But doing that process and cancelling my belief in gout, you know, it left in about 3 years, and I've been off the medication. I haven't had a gout attack for many years. Yeah, thank you.
In the situation that I'm in,
yes,
I've got someone around me that's very angry.
Yes.
And I have a lot of judgments about them. I don't say it out loud, but I feel it, and it's affecting me, and it's affecting the communication. So I want to know how I can surrender my judgments.
Oh yeah.
And I know that I have judgments outside of that relationship too. So I want to know, how can I, in that instant, and this person is being angry or grumpy, how can I stop this chatter in my head and the feelings inside my body? How do I surrender that?
Okay, very good question. I'll just quickly share. I live with my mother, and so when I started my spiritual work, I had a very bad relationship with my mother. And she thought I was very selfish. But doing spiritual work, for me, one of the things that I practice is another thing, is the thing of, now and it relates to the Course in Miracles and the lesson we'll be doing soon, is that one of the things with the Course in Miracles you realise we'll be doing, one of the lessons today is I'm not a victim of the world I see. So, and I also happen to be a hypnotherapist as well. So, is the thing of that nothing, once you get this, you don't have, it means it's a major thing. There is nothing in the external world that can disturb your peace unless you give your power away to it. So, and I knew this was true from my own spiritual experience. There is nothing out there that can disturb your peace. But if you have some belief system or trigger within your ego, then you can be triggered by it. So, so what did that mean to me? It meant that I had associations with my mother that I had to let go of. Now, okay, so we'll go to one of the early lessons. Actually, it's one of my favourite lessons in A Course in Miracles. It's one of the very first lessons in A Course in Miracles, which is that all my thoughts are meaningless. All my thoughts are meaningless. For me, this is at the level of enlightenment or high spirituality, which means that the only reason a belief system stays in mind is because of the meaning that has been given to it. So what does that mean? It means that, for example, if a stranger said to me, you know, I don't like the colour of your coat, it would have no effect on me because it's a random stranger and I don't really care what they think of me. Now, if my mother said to me, you look bad today, then I would have an enormous reaction to that. So why is it that a stranger who's a human being, if they say something to me, has no effect, and my mother who says something to me has a huge effect? So, I mean, the Course is basically saying, with one of its first lessons, it's only the meaning I've projected onto anything external that means that I have a reaction to it. If it's meaningless to me, in terms of my ego not projecting any kind of association or what I call special values or higher power status onto the external person, sound, place or situation or career status, then it can have no effect on me. So the problem is not in the world, the problem is in my thoughts as to why I get triggered. So my ego has set me up by making certain things externally important, and that's why I get triggered by them. So I knew that, like a random stranger, if they said a few words to me, would have no effect. But if my mother could say a few words to me, I'd have a huge effect. So that means the problem's not my mother. The problem is that I projected so much meaning onto her words, onto her tone of voice, onto symbolically what I expect of her. You know, outcomes and expectations. Like if I want my mother to say nice things to me all the time, otherwise I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be upset. I could be upset quite regularly. But if I had no expectations, or it's not important what my mother says, or I make her the equivalent of a stranger. So that for me, now, some of you may balk at this to make every external thing meaningless, but it's not as bad as you think. Because if you let go of all your ego belief systems, then you get in touch with your authentic self. Because the ego, when I live in my ego, basically, it's like I'm living in a filtered world where all these belief systems are skewing everything. And the ego, basically for me, the ego is a belief system based on fear and separation. So, the ego says, if you let go of all your belief systems and your identity, and if you let go of the fear and the control, then there'll be nothing left of you, and you need me to exist. So huge fear will come up if you let go of your belief. I need my mother's approval. I need her to be nice all the time. I need to let go of being the most successful person on the planet. The ego will come up with great fear. But spirituality is that if you let your ego go, something far better will take its place. A more authentic, loving, peaceful essence will go. But great fear comes up with everyone who starts the journey of letting go of their belief systems and their identity. So, okay, so I intuitively knew that I wanted to make my mother to clear my belief systems, so she was meaningless. Actually, now that I made her meaningless, I've had, it's like, I don't think we've had an argument for years. And, we have a loving time. And it's because I let go of my ego belief systems around her. There's a natural love. When you're free of all your, I need my mum to be like this, I need her to always say nice things, I need her never to use a tone of voice like that again. When I was willing, I need her to, if I was willing to let go of all of that, how do you let go of that? So, like, one of the early lessons, even though we're not doing it today, is with the Course in Miracles is like, for example, let's say my mother was in the room and sitting, let's say, over there somewhere. I'd look at my mother and say, my mother is meaningless, and then I'd look at the table and say, this table is meaningless. Then I'd look at the light bulb and say, that light bulb is meaningless. I'd look at each object for about, like the Course in Miracles says, for about 2 seconds, and then I would say, she's as meaningless as the door, which is as meaningless as the light bulb, which is as meaningless as my phone. And as I do that, looking at each person, it's like stripping out my ego's associations with my ego's internal projections. Eventually, it's like stripping away all the meaning my ego has projected onto my mother. What about, and then you have to be creative, what about her tone of voice? You see? So there's different aspects, but everything you can make meaningless. My mother's voice tone is as meaningless as traffic noise, which is as meaningless as the kettle, you see? And then you do that randomly. And then if you have the willingness to let go of all associations, then, as I found, every time I'd go in, she'd have less of an effect on me. I could stay peaceful and grounded. And then, it's called A Course in Miracles, because what I found is if you don't react to a person, you're not expecting tons from them, and are not having a miserable face every time they talk to you, they start to become nice, is what I found, you see. So the problem was not, by letting go of all my ego baggage in a relationship, the relationship transformed to be a much more a loving relationship. One of the things, I go to these 12-step fellowships, but one of them says that, to be able to relate to people from a place of wholeness. When I'm in my ego, I'm in a place of lack, like I'm needy. Like, you've got to tell me how good I am. You've got to give me affirmation. You've got to always be there for me. You've always got to say nice things to me. So this is a place of, like, what I call, I'm not at peace within myself. I haven't got love to give. I'm always like needing something. when I get inner peace and I no longer need something, then it's like a more authentic love, which is not like having all these ego perceptions and ideas about how things should be. You see, also for me, what happens when you get in connection, when you strip away the ego, you get connected to what I call intuition. This divine intuition, which is not from the realm of the thinking ego, but it's like the sixth sense. It's beyond the ego. It connects to a field of knowledge beyond that. So, so making this person meaningless, cancelling your belief systems around it, sometimes leaving the room and feeling your feelings out, and doing all of that, you'll find that the reaction to them. Also, there's many Course in Miracle prayers. I pray for a miracle to see this person differently. I pray for a miracle to see peace in this situation, not what I currently see in it. There's so many beautiful Course in Miracles lessons. Today's lesson is a brilliant lesson. I'm not a victim of this person, you see. So they all release the ego's baggage of the world needing to be a certain way. Yeah? Yeah, sure.
One thing that helped me in my household, where there was like a lot of anger and I used to get like really angry, was also just like when I pray, just to send love to the person, and I would like do it like daily, and I really noticed like over time a big difference, like
Oh
in
yeah.
the household. Yeah.
And you do that by in your meditation time.
And just like I would pray like in the morning and in the evening, just to send them love and just look at them like in a loving way. It took a while, but
Visualizing.
yeah, just visualizing like love and them like happy and like peace between us. And, yeah. So,
Pray to see Christ in them, really.
yeah, see Christ and then yeah. So,
No, yeah, lovely. Thank you. Okay, so financial security, fear, anxiety. Okay, I mean, for me that's quite easy. I mean, doing spiritual work can be very practical as well. So it's like my ego might say, oh, you know, I need to do hundreds of actions right now. I need to make money. I need to make 100 job applications. I need to see what I can do to make money because I'm in so much fear and anxiety. For me, that is the ego, and spirituality is very, very bizarre. As you get to, but all spirituality is letting go and having more faith than you once did. So of course it does. That can also bring up fear in the short term. My own view is that actually, the more I'm connected to the divine source, to peace and love and faith and trust, the more things work out for me. Miracles happen more intuitively. The more I'm in fear and anxiety, the more likely it is things go wrong, and life is much more tough. So, with Hawkins' research, you know, it's like, you know, when you're in tons of fear, things tend to go more wrong more regularly. You're sort of having thoughts, you know, like people in fear might think if I go out I'm going to be mugged. I knew one person, and she had like every doctor she met, it was like a catastrophe. And I'd speak to her and it's like, you say, like all doctors are awful, because everyone I've met is awful. And I said, like all the doctors I've met are wonderful. So it's like, when you're on these different vibrations, it's like there's an attraction to negativity. And when you're in faith and trust and peace and love, and that the divine is the source, then everything tends to work out. So, but how do you do that practically? Well, first of all, there's nothing wrong in taking actions. If you think, for example, if you needed a job, you know, taking some actions to get a job, you can do them, whatever is intuitive. However, you can let go of the fear, and you can let go of the belief systems around it and still take action, so it's practical. So what I would do is, let's say my ego says, oh, I haven't got enough money to pay the rent for next week, and it's probably, so I might do something like, okay, well, I'll spend an hour today job searching, but for the rest of the time, I'm going to be sitting with my fear and trying to feel all my fear out. You see, because the ideal, now the ego says you need fear to take action, but you can equally take action when you're in happiness, peace, joy and trust. It's kind of obvious. So the goal would be to release all fear. So how do you do that? Like I shared before, just every time there's tons of fear, like you could look at your bank account and that would bring up terror. I'd like look at something that would bring up the terror. Look at the bank account, there's like it's £3 in overdraft, it's not looking good. So all the fear comes up, the terror comes up. Then I just go, okay, the terror's come up, I'm going to close my eyes, I'm going to like try and let go of the thoughts and just be fully present to the fear. And then another thought comes up, a negative thought, and I cancel that or let it go, and then be fully present to the fear. So as you do that, usually I find within 30 to 40 minutes, but maybe it may take longer in the beginning, the fear will start to diminish. It'll start to ease down. And if you can, maybe it won't go in the first time, you'll get to a sense of peace. Or you just do like what I'd say regular chunks, feel out fear 2 or 3 times a day. What you'll find within a few weeks is that your fear will be vastly diminished. And you might be more happily taking actions, or you might even have a lot of faith. I only need to take 1 or 2 actions this week. I'm sure everything's going to be fine, it'll work out. You'll have that attitude. Also the belief systems, like, you know, often you'll find there's a family or a collective belief system, like your parents might have said, we're never going to have enough money to pay the rent or something. So you have these collective belief systems. So you can start letting go of those belief systems, which might be generational or you might have picked up. So I cancel my belief, I'm bad with money. I'm an infinite being subject only to what I hold in mind. I cancel my belief, I'm always in poverty. I'm an infinite being subject only to what I hold in mind. Or God did not create poverty, so it's not real. God did not create recession, so it's not real. God did not create a lack of jobs in the world, so it's not real. So I let go of the belief systems around it, and then I feel that. So eventually what will happen is you'll start to have no fear, because you'll have felt out all the negativity, and then you'll have let go of all your limiting belief systems. Then you'll find a more peaceful, intuitive, trusting nature going forward. Also, with the Course of Miracles, there's many prayers. You know, pray for a miracle to see the situation differently. Pray to see peace in the situation. You know, I think one of the Course of Miracles lessons is God is the source of my security, which I 100% believe. When you're connected to the, you know, if God is the source of the universe, when you're in alignment, you're connected to that vibration of love, peace, and trust, and inner stillness. You know, that then automatically provides the miracles. Miracles align, and the right job aligns. And for me as well, when you're at those vibrations of trust and love, you're going to find a better job. When I was in fear and in my ego, I was always choosing fear-based jobs, you know, like the stock market. I mean, I wasn't suited for the stock market. It's a very aggressive environment, very ego-bitten. But, you know, it was just like my ego was in charge, so it had to be something that other people would think would be good, something that you could get a lot of money and people think in society that's going to be good. That's not my inner nature. Well, later on, when that took me to the point of death, I found out I wanted to do something more spiritual, more loving. No, that's not the route I want for my life. And I found that when you have that faith, and it's like the spiritual universe then tells you what your real calling is in life, and you no longer are going for those callings which are ego-based. So that becomes a gradual shift as you let go of the fear. But when you're in too much fear, a lot of the decisions are fear-based. And when you get into peace, you choose things which are more love-based, or more in alignment with a higher vibration. Okay.
Can I say something?
Yes, please do.
Because yeah, I have lots and lots of fear, and I have meditated every day, transcendental meditation we have.
Oh, yes.
But so I do it twice a day. Many years ago, but now I have started again and done it for the last 15 months.
Mm.
But even though sometimes when I feel a lot of fear, maybe when and I say I will meditate anyway, so it's a little bit like when you say sitting with whatever is there when I'm sitting, those 20 minutes. But I mean, I can sit for 20, 25 minutes and it doesn't change. It's like, and then I go up and do something else. But I think it's so massive. I really would use, I think those things were very good, what you said here, also this fear is not real.
Yes.
God in the grass. So I will use those simple things you can do all the time, like
yes.
also for a certain time, at a certain time, maybe in the morning and then later.
Yes.
But because I feel, I have also felt the fear. I have deliberately also, like you say, okay, I would just be with it but I can just take a certain amount, and I just have to try to escape because I just cannot stay with it more than so.
Yes.
But I can stay maybe for 20, 30 minutes. But that doesn't change it much for me actually.
Yeah.
Maybe it takes long.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a good observation. The Course in Miracles for me is dismantling all my belief systems and my outlook on the world. So I also did TM meditation, but TM meditation is not going to let go of all my belief systems and how I perceive the world. So I get to a place of peace by chanting my mantra. I was giving my TM mantra. But then when I finished the meditation, still my programmed belief systems and my way of interacting with the world and all my belief systems are still intact. So I can literally take the fear back on again, just from my belief systems. So unless I dismantle all my belief systems, my fear-based, for me all the belief systems of the ego are based in separation and fear to some level. So you're not going to experience the oneness beyond separation when you're holding on to the belief systems. So letting go of the belief systems, cancelling the belief systems. Also, for me, I was very much into Hawkins, and he described something, and I'll share it now, and I think it was fundamental I'll share it again, fundamental in my recovery from so many illnesses, kidney failure, gout, asthma. It was the thing of, he shared that to confront your ego, if you're willing to let go of your ego, at a certain point, if you become serious, ego will usually leave you alone if you're not serious. But if you're really, really serious in finding your authentic self, or your spiritual core, or that which lies beyond separation, then the ego will come up with what I call the most difficult feelings and belief systems that you've got within your ego. So when I was determined to do spiritual work, first of all, I had food addiction. I very much used food to escape my feelings. So I went to a 12-step program, but essentially it meant that after I stopped my meal and I was not going to eat till the next meal, like these huge feelings would come up, like you must go and comfort eat or do something to escape your feelings. It was very much the escape from the feelings. So what happened for me was I had panic attacks. So it was really, really severe. So I'd wake up in the middle of the night, and it was like I can't breathe, there's no oxygen in the room. And I just had these thoughts like, you should eat something. It doesn't make sense, but I was a food addict, not call the hospital, it was eat some food. But anyway, so, but then I remember Hawkins had gone through various things, like he'd gone through surgery without anesthetic and just used his spiritual surrender technique to be fully present as they were basically cutting him without anesthetic. So he was what I call an advanced spiritual seeker, but I thought, oh, well, I knew Hawkins, the way to escape your ego and get those higher levels of enlightenment is to be willing to go through those extremely scary feelings until they pass, and not back down, not go to the food or try to do some behavior to escape the feeling. Because the ego will often make you try and do something to escape those feelings coming up. So basically, the first time I did eat, but the second time, I said to myself, even if I drop down dead, I'm going to feel this panic attack. And if there's not enough air in the room and I fall down, fair enough. But I had the faith of my teacher saying that if you want to be free, you can't just chicken out to your ego every time it brings up a big feeling. So I sat there, and it was about 15 or 20 minutes of a panic attack, and I was sitting on the chair. And then after about 15 minutes, suddenly it seemed like there was more air in the room. And then within 20 minutes, suddenly the panic attack was gone. So this was like a major thing for me. It was like I see it like it's like a challenge between the ego and your spirit, if you like. Are you willing to connect to your spirit and go through this very difficult feeling without trying to escape it, you see? So it was the thing. Then after I did that, I had 3 more panic attacks, and they were much easier because I knew they passed. And then I more or less never had a panic attack now for about 7 or 8 years. So these are what I call the early battles with your illness. But letting go of the belief systems, like if I believe I have to be mega successful to be happy, you know, even if I meditate for half an hour and I come back to my ego, I'm going to start feeling fear because I'm not mega successful. So I've got to let go of that all those belief systems from within the ego. So now, yeah, so it's multi-pronged. Feeling the feelings, also having... Hi, welcome. It's also, welcome. It's also having I call it, I coined it, I haven't copyrighted it, so you can get it if you like. I call it the spiritual warrior attitude. You know, when you've got really, really difficult feelings, not trying to escape and go through them. Now I've done that. Can you do? I mean, I'll give you some more examples of that technique, which is one more, which was that Hawkins so inspired me that he went through surgery without anaesthetic and just did the surrender technique, 100%, as they were cutting him with, I guess, those medical instruments, to be fully present to the feeling. And yeah.
Just to clarify, the surrender technique is to be fully present to whatever it is, the feeling that you're kind of...
Yeah, it's like 100% yes, 100% allowing, and not engaging in thought, or letting the thoughts go immediately. So you're fully present to it. He went off into a state of bliss by doing that, you see. So anyway, I had my transplant operation, and I was too chicken to say, you know, the general, but after they put the kidney in me and I had my I said I refused all painkillers after the operation. You know, I said they offered me a morphine pump, which I declined. I said, don't give me any painkillers. I just ride the feelings and be 100% present. And that's quite a major. I mean, it's quite a major gash, transplant operation. It's quite major pain, but. I thought, yeah, you know, it's not as good as Hawkins. So again, it's like to be fully present, you know, it's like 100% accept the feeling. So you're riding the wave. I also said the Lord's Prayer, but so it was like it was quite intense. But I wasn't going to use any painkillers and be fully present to it. And several people had transplants. And the doctor said to me, you know, I was one of the first people to get out of my bed. I had an extremely rapid recovery from that thing, and I got up, and the doctor knew it. He looked at me and he said, you know, you've had a fast recovery, and he intuitively knew it's because I refused all the medication. You see, I just 100% was present to the feeling. And it's like the body rapidly healed itself. I had that. I mean, it was miraculous. Like I did a Course in Miracles. I had that transplant. Everything went well. It was like the angels were looking after me. And I just recently had a medical checkup with my transplant. And the doctor said that, you know, it's been stable for 5 years, which is very, very good. So it's like the field of the miraculous. When you're not willing to chicken out to your ego, you know, there is something that looks after you, your finances, your love life, everything, your connections. But what it's the ego's what I call it is like the ego's filter. Unless you remove the ego's filter of wanting things a certain way, needing to be a certain way, having to have outcomes, unless that filter is removed, then you can't get in connection with a more authentic inner self. So, yeah.
Does that mean then that you shouldn't want things, I mean, have any goals or any particular desires of what things should be like when you say like that? In general in life, that it's not helpful to want a certain thing at all?
It's a brilliant question. Thank you for asking that question.
I have also a question.
Yes?
How is your view about the illness and the disease? What not comes from the feeling? What comes from the chemtrails now in the sky? What they spray? The aluminium or the Wi-Fi here, when you are connected to the Wi-Fi, which is mind control, which they go and in your ego, they manipulate you with the feeling, because they know so far, what you say is totally right, but it comes now from out, that they spray the sky with toxin, biological weapons, you get ulcer and everything in, you breathe in, so you cannot do with the feelings. That's my problem when I teach my clients now with their toxin stuff. But we get also manipulate and mind control with Wi-Fi, with that. And this, they go in our task, they can change our feeling, they can change your feelings. So how do you fight against that?
Okay.
So we have to, I think we have to go in a higher illumination.
Yeah.
But this is for a lot of people very difficult to lead them in there, to not be on the same level that they can manipulate us with Wi-Fi radiation and stuff.
Thank you. Okay. There was two questions. I'll come to your question second.
Okay.
What's the other question? Oh yes, wanting. I forget things
Sorry,
sometimes.
can you repeat again what the lady has said?
Yes. What about wanting and goals and things like that? Yeah, wanting and goals, and then Wi-Fi. The needing and the wanting is from a lower. You see, needing and wanting is a low vibration. It means that right now I'm not at peace. Yes. You see, so when I have the vibration of if only I could be more successful, then I'll be happy. Or if only I can be like I used to be in the stock market. So it used to be I was very, very needy. So for me, neediness is like I'm not at peace. In this moment, I'm not at peace. I have the vibration of lack. So it means that I'm feeling discontent in the moment. So I need, or if my ego says, for me, every ego belief system is usually an idea on limitation. So it means, like my ego would say to me, if you're managing director of Goldman Sachs, then at that point you'll be happy. So I was on a never-ending goose chase, and I was not happy now. I was not at peace now because I was on a big chase to get something. So the need and the want were, for me, coming from a place of my ego having belief systems that when I achieved or did something in the world, then at that point I would feel at peace and complete. Yes? So it's a vibration of lack. This comes from the ego idea that, you know, and also how would I counterbalance that would be to say that if I was more at peace or had let go of my ego, then a more intuitive way of life and something that does not come from the ego. It's more out of the beingness or the presence. It was like a spontaneous unfolding. So
you would still get an impulse, because that's what I mean, how do you create something out of... It's almost like I think that I need to be needy, almost to want to create something, otherwise nothing would come. But you mean that from that other place you will get an impulse to create or act that is not coming from the need or want in the same way?
Yes.
Because it's like lots of creation comes from a wanting, doesn't it? I mean, most people are driven by what they want, or what they try to get. I mean, people are driven either from what they want, that they want to get away from something that is uncomfortable,
yes, right.
get away from pain, or they want to go towards something they want. So I mean, if you're going to take away both those two, because that's what you're talking about.
Yes.
So what will then propel? Will you just sit there meditating all day? I mean, what makes you? There must be another, and that's where really there must be something else that wants to create, that is not coming from that avoiding pain. And
that's right. Yes, you're correct.
That's a little bit what I'm wondering about.
Yes. Well, you're quite right. We're letting go of the ego. The ego is run by attractions and aversions, or pain or pleasure. So we're letting go of all of that.
Yeah.
You see, so the ego says if you let all of that go, what will happen? You become a vegetable or something. That's quite right. That's what the ego says. The ego says you need me. You need to be. You need to be chasing ice cream and running away from thugs all day long. So so if you let that go, what will happen? You'll be like an empty cabbage on the seat or something like that. So that's the fear of the ego. But so when you become more when you get to the high spiritual levels, free of ego, then there's a natural peace and presence and contentment, a beingness, a oneness, and out of that activities occur or may not occur, but that's coming from the spirit, you see. But the spirit is not in need. The spirit doesn't have to do something to feel better, because the spirit is already happy and at peace, you see. So that's the inspiration that comes out of the authenticness of the presence of the beingness. So it's a different energy. But you're quite right. 99% of the planet is in their ego. They're running after things, and or running away from things. But it doesn't mean that that's the only way. So it's a great question, and so thank you. That's a, my thing is to be bulletproof peace means to be at peace in it. I'm not claiming enlightenment, but the aim is to be at peace no matter what happens in the external world. So if it's raining, to be at peace. If I got a promotion, to be at peace. If I didn't get a promotion, to be at peace. Whether someone robbed me today, to still be at peace, or if not, someone didn't rob me, I'd still be in peace. So nothing external. Not to be at the mercy of my ego's ideas. That unless I can be successful, then I'll be okay. Because that for me is a lack. You see, I'm already in a low vibration. Or that I need to be in fear of things. I need to run away from, or avoid certain areas. So to let all of that go. So it's brilliant. All the enlightened teachers like Hawkins, Muji, they say, and it makes perfect sense. There's nothing they need, you see, because if you're in a state of perfect peace and presence and happiness, and someone says to you, I can give you £1 million, will that make you more happy? It won't. Because it's like, if you're already happy and at peace and connected and one right now, and somebody says, look, you could run the marathon and win it, so do you want to do that? It's not like you have to do it, because you're already at the ultimate state, you see. So you don't have to, your ego is always in a lack vibration, saying you need to do something to feel a bit better. You see, that's 99% of the planet, but that for me is not spirituality, or high levels of spiritual vibration. And and I'll come to your
about
question.
The radiation, yeah.
I think it's a brilliant question. For me, I'll share one more of my stories. See, cancelling beliefs. Am I a victim of the world? And for me, there's lots of belief systems, and I'm at the effect to the world to the extent I hold those beliefs. This is my view. Hold those beliefs in my head. So, I'll give you an example. Hawkins had let go of a lot of illnesses, and he actually refused medical treatment for a lot of his illnesses and still got well using spiritual means. When I had my transplant, they gave me, after my transplant, they gave me 13 medications, which is normal for a transplant patient after you'd received a transplant. But I used one of Hawkins' affirmations, which is, I cancel my belief in the adverse effects of medication. I'm an infinite being subject only to what I hold in mind. So I just cancel my belief in all the negative side effects of the medication. So for me, it was not to give my power away to the belief systems in the world, like medications have side effects or they can have a negative effect. Because if I believe that, it's my belief which is more important than the outside circumstance. That was the idea of the Course in Miracles. And within 3 years, I was down to one medication on the minimum dose of immunosuppressant. And the consultant said to me, he knows of no one else in the hospital who takes less medication than me. So I didn't subscribe, I didn't pay a lot of attention to how bad these medications were for me. Instead, I cancelled my belief that I was at the effect of negative effects from them. And with kinesiology, Hawking, another example, that the power is in the beliefs. If I believe, there are collective beliefs. If I believe I'm going to be affected by radiation, then I will be.
Yeah, but they have researched that the chemtrails and the Wi-Fi go in your thoughts, and they can manipulate your thoughts. They can make you bad feelings. That exist.
But can I say?
Okay.
But if you don't, but what you're saying is if you don't believe that, if you believe that, then it will affect you.
Sure.
But if you don't believe it,
it would not affect me. But it affects a lot of people. They don't believe on that. That's the point. They keep us away from the enlightenment. They block this. And even the people who not believe that, they try to stop them. Because the most people, they don't believe it. They don't know. They are not spiritual like we are here. And they get affected. They breathe the chemtrails and they get cancer, Alzheimer, Parkinson, because the toxin is in there and they even not know and believe that. But then they found out, oh, it's from them. And even though they believe on them, they say, that's crap what you talk about.
I have a suggestion.
Yep.
So, what then if you create a belief that you are protected, and that belief is stronger or more powerful, that vibration you're giving off then would counteract, whatever's coming at you.
Yeah. For me, I agree. I mean, that there are unconscious belief systems, and there are what I call collective belief systems that many people subscribe to. So, also, when you're at a what you're saying, when you're at a low vibration, you're more susceptible to these belief systems of radiation or everything. As you do spiritual work, you start to become less. If you can't start cancelling your beliefs and you attune to the higher vibrations, you become less vulnerable to these. They tend to have less and less effect. Also, if you cancel the beliefs, you have to know which belief systems to cancel. If you don't know, then you can't cancel them. So you still have the effect. For me,
I mean, people get affected and even they don't believe on it. They have no knowledge that the GMS must on the top of the other house disturb them of sleeping and stuff, and they don't know, and that exists. So a child is ill because of the strong radiation, electricity, because it's close to and have blood cancer.
Yes.
This happens.
Yes.
And even they don't believe on it. It's not me. I know how to handle it. But the children and another people who live there get affected and are ill.
Yes. Yes, there are unconscious belief systems. There are pre-existing belief systems on birth as well. From the collective, from karma, yeah.
But isn't some stuff just physical? Like you don't have to believe something in order for you to be inhaling a cigarette. Actually, maybe not. but say say the adverse effects of medication. Nobody necessarily believe. A lot of people don't necessarily believe in the negative effects of medication, but it's bad for you. So it does affect our bodies. So we don't. It's like, maybe there are chemtrails and stuff, and maybe they are affecting everybody badly, but maybe if you cancel your beliefs in it, it won't affect you anymore.
Yeah, I mean, other people. That's why other people will not believe on that. They don't know, little babies, for example.
Right, so you're saying...
Yeah, for example, little kids, they don't know, and they have blood cancer because of the strong electricity cable and stuff. Yes,
yeah. What I found as well, what worked for me from the course was I shared it in this room. My mother has many health conditions, and I only did cancelling beliefs for myself. But one day I had the intuition, because she had this swollen feet, and the doctor said there's nothing they can do for her. She has so many health conditions. So I just did one of the lessons, which was that God did not create oedema in my mother, so it's not real. And within a couple of days, the oedema started to leave my mother. So just by cancelling my beliefs that my mother had it, it started to go. There are many different spiritual pathways. I prefer the way of the Course in Miracles for me is the way of the mystic, which means more clearing my own thoughts to help others than doing. I mean, there's many different ways of doing it. There was a guy who's quite a famous mystic, and his name is Dr. Hew Len. And Dr. Hew Len is quite famous, and he basically now to clear.
Is he in YouTube?
He's on YouTube, Dr. Hew Len. Dr. Hew Len.
H?
Pardon?
What is?
Dr. Ho'oponopono.
And the name?
Dr. Hew, Hew. W-L-E-N. Now, the Course in Miracles for me is a mystical pathway, and a lot of people sort of poo-poo doing mystical work in terms of helping the world. But Dr. Hew Len, his thing is very, I would say, in alignment with the Course in Miracles, which is just to let go of my belief systems around the world. And to many people, it would look like he doesn't do much. He just sits down and looks at a few folders. But he got the... he's very famous. I think he's one of the more famous mystics. So there's a prison, I think, in Hawaii or something like that. And someone asked for his help. So they just gave him all the prisoners' notes. And he just did his clearing of the prison. I think there were violent prisoners. he just looked at the notes and he cleared his own mental thoughts of what all these people had done. So he didn't actually go and visit the prison. He just cleared his belief systems. He's very famous if you look online and his books and everything. And just by him clearing his thoughts of what the prisoners had done, every prisoner left that prison. So he cleared out a whole Hawaiian prison of violent criminals, just not even by going there or doing or interacting with them, just by clearing his belief systems around the profiles. So the power of just cancelling your thoughts, letting go of your thoughts, or forgiving the world for what it's done, has a powerful effect on the world. You know, it's a less power of Dr. Hew Len, which is, I mean, there's many ways to help the world, but one way is to achieve enlightenment oneself.
Yeah, we have to start with ourselves,
yes.
but you know we get blocked from outside, you know that.
Yes, we get blocked, and for me...
I try to find out how I need to help myself first and go in this kind of illumination and spray my love out.
Yes.
But also when I see the other people rushing, money greedy, more money, and the world is going mess up, you know what goes in my country, refugees and all that kind of stuff, what happens now, and bad things. So if we continue this way now, the world is going to end. Change, yeah? And so if we not stop all that war kind of things, the world is going to mess up totally in the next 2-3 years. That comes at the end time. It comes. But I believe that we can catch it if we go all in a kind of illumination in love, which they try. What you see now, there was the sun. Now that the sky is always if the sky is blue in the morning, they spray it again, and they start to block other people and us. Spray, keeping the material world. So it's very difficult to sit here and go in meditation and do being, and other people go out and they still run around because of that kind of keep them in the material, keep them in the television and buy things, and this is also it's very important to bring the world now and us in this illumination now, away from that 99% of people are just in the material world. What you see outside, look outside.
Yes.
And that needs to be changed now. We have to start with love, with holding hand, with peace. And they keep us in the material world, television, all the things. Not me, I don't look that anymore, and I don't like to use mobile in front of me. But it does affect other people to go in the illumination like we think. And they also need help.
Okay. Sarah, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just like what you're saying remind me of, I've got some friends who are, they're always fighting against capitalism, and they're like very strong political. And it's very hard to explain to them, if you say, I'm just like taking a spiritual route, and, I believe like if I clear myself and have
they
these
keep
beliefs,
you for mad.
yeah, that's better than going and like breaking something or
I mean, better alone, you're sure.
Yeah,
but this not helps the world.
Yeah, but I think like it's a choice. Like it's either you can go that way and be political and take action, or you can go the spiritual way. Maybe some people can do
but
both.
If we start with us to have, if we start with us to give us love, like he said, we also give this to other people, because the world, also the earth is ill, and the earth is now going in the illumination up, and we have to go with, but the most people don't go. They are just busy with working, making money.
Yeah.
Look at the television, what happens all the time.
I think you're kind of mixing it up, because you're wanting to help the people and be more political, but you're spiritual as well. But it's like if you want to follow the Course of Miracles or what Sabbir's talking, it's more like you have to forget all the political side.
Don't resist it.
Not the political side, the world.
Yeah, but all
We
those,
need to help the world.
yeah, but
To go,
that's
and the people, the
more,
women, to go in the illumination.
that's like the opposite to just the stillness that Sabbir is talking about. So you can make the choice, but I think you can't have it together so well.
But I can't think, because if you give so much attention to that, you give it more power. The more
Yes.
attention you give, so much attention, it seems like you focus all your energy there,
Yeah.
and you bring it up instead of giving your attention to what you
Yeah.
want. And they really
So
put where you put your focus, that's what you give your energy
Yeah.
to.
You, it's like your cake and eat
Yeah, I
it
give
too.
focus to the world,
You
that
focus
they
on
come in the
bad
same
things, what you
energy
give.
and have
That's-
love.
It's more going out than going in, and I don't think you can maybe have both at the same time. So you have to choose maybe the spiritual path where you let go.
Yeah,
or
maybe I
the
care too
other
much.
path-
Maybe I care too much outside.
Yeah,
at the
so
moment.
maybe
Because of my
you're
country, I
more-
have a lot of problems
maybe you're
now.
more
I have.
outside, and that's
And you see the world
find
as
a way to balance it in yourself. That
I
Yeah,
think,
that's what I
yeah.
said. We have to
Mm.
do it first in
But-
us, settle in us,
But
and
I-
then give it to the other.
yeah, but I think you have to choose one to start. Maybe I don't know.
But I think about what you said about your mother having the edema in her feet. It's a little bit the same. You saw her, you didn't see, like also with Hew Len, what he said, you don't, like Jesus or whatever, they don't see the illness in the other, they see the health, and you see the illness in the world, you see the evil in the world, you see the illness in the world, you don't see the health in the world, you don't, if you can see the other thing,
We have
that's
to see
with-
both.
No, that's not
It's
the
the-
truth.
we have
That's
to
what
see
we don't
both.
have to do,
You're not
because when we
allowed
see
to
both,
both.
we have not to see both. That's the opposite.
Because
You cannot see the illness.
we have to grow up spiritually. If we are only spiritual and we are tree, we only grow up. We have no roots. We
But
go
there's
down.
no opposite to me between spirit, because
No.
everything is spiritual to me, and it's like what you see. So if you see the illness, that's what. As long as we see the illness, it will be.
It's
It's
manifest.
when we don't see it anymore, that won't be. It's in us. As long as we see it, it is. As long as this is in us, because we see it in ourselves or in somebody else. So there's no difference between the world and ourselves, as I see it. It's like we see it there, we see it here. It's the same. And when you see it there, we see it here. It's no difference.
No, I mean, but they manipulate other people, and when you see this around the world, they get manipulated. They also need to come in the illumination.
So you can cancel your belief in their manipulation.
Dimitra, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to say, well, it seems to me from what I'm getting from there, it's just kind of we are focusing so much on out there. I think we have to start, my take on this is we have to start from ourselves. And if you really, feel so strongly and you want to go out there to change something, you kind of, your actions would be inspired and would be, informed by your, deep grounding in spirituality, and you can make more effective, results out in the world. But it seems to me you're focusing too much there. Yes, that's yes,
maybe
it
because
possibly
my
this
family is
happening.
involved in
Yes,
there.
maybe this is what's happening. I think you're right, and but I think we have to start. And personally, to me, it would make to start from somewhere. And if you're really inspired, it would be. I think you can take those decisions, which will be informed by some kind of really higher spiritual grounding in a way.
Okay. I think we'll go to the counselling of beliefs at this point. That's fine. Okay, no, that's fine. No, that's cool. You want to go?
I'd love to.
Put you down.
So I've been aware of just this sensation in my stomach,
Yes.
and I know the chakras around this area, like for example the throat might be communication, and I'm not that au fait with them all, but I feel like I feel fear here.
Right.
It's one place where I feel that when I go into and it's just sometimes the smallest things, just fear of being. There's no danger in this room, but I just felt like a little bit yeah, just now and again, just I don't know if it's fear, just yeah, like, you know, just not sure, or not, like, unable to be, or something, just something that's not fully giving, and I can feel here like it sort of tenses and doesn't feel like I'm relaxing. All this talk of letting go and surrendering, and I feel like I was holding on here. So it kind of, I'm aware that there's like some discomfort, like I'm not feeling very free. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
So there's fear around the stomach area,
Yeah.
and what? There's thoughts. I'm not free.
Yeah.
Okay. So that these thoughts and this fear, I mean, it's something that can be here or not be here.
I mean, it manifests in that sensation, but the thought behind it is, I think, around those things. Yeah. Fear of being and.
Oh, fear of being.
Yeah, or like a combination of all those different things. Sometimes I don't even know what it is. I just know that it's not comfortable, like I'm not feeling very comfortable. Like holding myself back or something.
Okay.
Mm.
So this this fear. There have been times when you haven't been in fear. I remember I've been with you and there's been no fear here. So fear is a thing that can be here or not be here. So there is, it's a thing that can be here intensely, or it can not be here, or it can be here mildly. So it's a thing that is sometimes here, sometimes not here. And there's something that knows when it's here and when it's not here, which is not the fear. You see, and all of these thoughts as well. You know, there's that which is here, which knows when there's lots of thoughts and when there's no thoughts. You see. So if sometimes the fear is a bit like a book or like a chair. You know, if I put a chair in front of you, you know, and you see the chair, it doesn't mean you are the chair. You are that which is observing the chair. And when the chair is removed, you're still here to observe. There's no chair here. Yes. So just like I could put a chair in front of you, and then I could take the chair away, and still you'll be observing. The chair is here one day, the chair is not here another day. So you're that which can observe a chair being here or not being here, but you're not the chair. Or you can have some thoughts here today, or no thoughts. But you're that which is observing thoughts or no thoughts. Yeah. So this feeling, can you go to the observer of the feeling?
I mean, as you just as you were speaking, I got that when people talk about a wall, you know, that wall that's up, or barrier, or God, you know, I felt like that's exactly what it felt like, you know, that it lives there, yeah.
Yeah.
So just I was trying to like look at the wall, or
look at the wall from the. There's something that's observing the wall, which knows when the wall is here and not here, because sometimes the wall's not here.
Yeah.
So you're here even when the wall's not here, and you're here when the wall is here. So there's something here which is observing the wall. Go to an observer of the wall which is not interested in the wall.
When you said about like sitting with the feelings and the panic attacks, it kind of feels like there's a war going on, and it's making me.
Okay, well then fully feel it. Just go up. Try and tell it to get worse. Say more. I want to explode now. Something.
Yeah,
like
because it does. It feels like it's getting intense.
Oh, good. See if you can explode. Just say yes. Be willing to die.
Can I close my eyes?
Yeah. Be willing to die. Let it come up.
can still feel it. It's so intense.
Oh, yeah, feel it. Keep feeling it. See if you can feel it even more intensely.
Still there, but it's changing.
Try and morph with it. Try not to make any stories about it and
Okay.
fully feel it. Try and be one with it, so there's no you and no it. And just bring it on as strong as it can be.
Still not going away.
No, it's good. Let it carry on.
It's like having a tight belt on. Yeah. Do I just look at it? Do I just feel it?
Feel it. Is there something looking at it while you're feeling it?
It kind of feels like there is a part that's making a picture of it.
Is there an observer of this part making a picture of it? Can you go to that observer? What observes the picture, which is not the picture?
Feels like someone sitting in the back seat, like the back of my head, something.
And there's another observer of that, which is watching that, which is not located anywhere.
Just feels like expansion.
Okay, good. And is there an observer of the expansion, which is not the expansion?
Kind of just looking, like, I suppose at the body, because the body is, it's the heaviness.
Okay, so can you observe the heaviness? Is there a detached observer of the heaviness, which is not interested in it? You need to go there. What watches the body without any interest or giving it any meaning?
Like space, I feel like space and truth.
Are you limited in this moment?
A little bit.
In what way?
Just trying to find the words to explain the feeling. I contacted it a little bit and it just felt like calm and peace. It just lasted like a split second. It's like an awareness, just dropping the body, just like letting go. I just get like a second in and then out again.
Okay, something is observing this in and out that's happening right now. It's okay. There's an in, out, in, out. Something is observing the in, out, which is not the in, out. There is an observer of something going in and out, which is not going in and out.
It's like an openness, like a stepping back.
Okay, good.
Like a letting go.
Good.
Because it's the holding on that creates the resistance.
Yes, that's right.
And the fear.
Yes,
The ego's scared of letting go.
that's right.
That's what that sensation was. That's what it is.
Now what are you?
I'm aware that that's not me.
Okay, good. Are you limited right now?
I don't think so.
Yeah, you can probably let go of that thought.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it's like that. It's not up or down.
No, beingness is not up and down.
I think that's why it takes a bit of getting used to, because the way I've lived my life has always been something.
Yeah, the ego is always for up and
yeah,
down.
the ego, yeah.
The ego is for up and down. Enlightenment is for being the beingness, or being the stillness, or the eternal peace that can never be up and down.
Yeah. Because this world is an illusion, it's all a dream, it's
Yes.
made up and full of lies. And you know, the ego is based in lies, the up, the down, the
Yes.
you know, the dramas, and to go against that.
Well, it's just to let go of illusions.
Yeah.
You see, illusions are, on a certain level, illusions aren't real, but if you believe them then, or are interested in them, then they seem to be.
It's like being kind of funny way of putting it. It's like being actually a sane person, but in an asylum, mental institution, and the whole world has felt like a mental institution, and I'm like, I don't listen to me, you know, and not being believed, and now it's undoing all of that and thinking and recognizing, oh, it's a fucking mental institution, you know, it's all bullshit, it's a lie,
Yes.
you know, so not get angry about it, just recognize that it's just a made up, you know,
Yes.
system. I don't belong in that. I don't fit in with that.
Does the beingness need to fit in with that?
No. He kind of smiles at that.
That's right.
Yeah. Because it feels very far away and
That's right.
sees the truth of what it is.
That's right. Yeah. Usually a lot of the mystics have a sense of humour. They find it quite funny. They say. They laugh at the world usually more because you have no attachments, and it's quite funny. Quite often.
David Hawkins laughs a lot.
And Muji,
Yeah.
Muji and Hawkins laughs a lot. Sometimes the audience doesn't get the joke. You know. But it's hilarious, and it's not real because life is eternal. You can't die. I mean, it's a comedy or a tragedy depending on what point of view you look at it. And let's see, but it's like you go from with past lives, you go from one karmic incarnation to the next in the dream until you wake up. Then you realise none of it was real.
Is that the meaning of karma then? Is that like how it ties in with the course? Like, as you just put it, you know, you just keep coming back and just having this until you wake up.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, the ego is you could say the ego is related to the karmic body. So when the physical body dies, you know, you come back, and the karma of your ego brings you back into another incarnation, because you still haven't transcended your ego. So you're going to keep coming back again and again and again until you break free of the dream.
Is that why do you think like some people have like trauma or bad experiences? You know, like what possibly made them attract that? Is it because of what they did to others in past lives, or is it more of a wake-up call? You know, to really grab our attention. You know, to wake up.
You could say it's both of them.
Right.
You see, people make choices out of ignorance, and they have karmic repercussions. But also the karmic repercussions are also an opportunity for waking up, you see. So, and for higher levels of spiritual consciousness, like I've shared, you know, like Hawkins said, you can intuit what your karma is, and letting it go. Like I found that I used to go to spiritual groups and lose my hats regularly, so I was probably like a hat thief. You know, in spiritual places, you see. So these things keep recurring because you don't. In terms of the karma operates by various laws, even though they operate within the illusion. So if I do something horrible to someone, probably someone's going to in the illusion. someone's probably going to do something horrible to me in the illusion. Once you wake up, all of it's a dream, but that's what happens in the dream world until you wake up. Anyway, you get more and more evolved within the dream. So then you start to be nice to everyone, and you start to be more honest in the dream. But then when you wake up, you realise you're not any of it. The beingness is not subject to any of it. So that's the waking up, freedom, enlightenment. You realise you weren't in the dream at all to begin with. But even within the dream, it's useful to operate within the dream within certain parameters. Those are called spiritual principles. So while you still believe you're a thing within the dream, you're making progress if you're living by spiritual principles. Because if you don't, you just have a lot of more negativity happening. But then when you wake up free from the dream, then you realise you're free of it all. And also Buddha said, and all the teachers of enlightenment say, you gain your ultimate freedom not to come back again, you see, and to make more mistakes and be in a world of separation. You can earn your freedom. Or you might choose to stick around for a while and share what you learned. A little bit more. So as I said, I had the kidney failure, was facing death, had a spiritual experience, find a spiritual solution. That embarked me on a long spiritual journey. Eventually someone gave me a DVD of Dr David R Hawkins, and I had another spiritual experience. And the person who introduced me gave me the Hawkins DVD, also introduced me to a man named Muji, who you could say the lineage of Muji, for those who know, is Ramana Maharishi. So Ramana Maharishi was a non-duality saint, you could say, and someone who was one of his disciples was Papaji, and then Muji was a disciple. But Hawkins was also a part of the 12 Steps. And also he was a Course in Miracles teacher as well. So hence that led to my journey of 12 Steps, A Course in Miracles, and the non-duality teachings, such as that from Muji or Ramana, of getting that connection to that ever-present source. So that led to, when I initially, when I got my kidney failure after working in the stock market, I had kidney failure, I had gout, I had asthma, and one of the things that really intrigued me with the Course in Miracles is Hawkins said he had about 20 illnesses, and by doing the course, all his illnesses went. He had many of them life-threatening illnesses, and he had started a study group of spiritual principles with people with cancer and AIDS, myasthenia gravis, and they all their illnesses disappeared as well. So I was very, very keen to study Hawkins' work, and also Course in Miracles and 12 Steps. And since doing that, I've had a transplant. I'm no longer on a dialysis machine. I used to have gout attacks. They've stopped the medication for that. I haven't had gout attacks for many years. I was discharged from the asthma clinic because that just disappeared. So all of these miracles started happening, and I'll be going. So, from Hawkins' experience and my own experience of studying A Course in Miracles is very, very powerful. Even though it is along the lines of getting towards totally letting go of all aspects of the ego. Now, some people have a lot of problem with the languaging in A Course in Miracles. It uses terminology such as God, Holy Spirit, Christ. What I would say with that is don't let that put you off. I would just substitute the word God or Holy Spirit or Christ for something that's friendly for you. But it's not about that. For me, it's more about getting to that peace, underneath by doing some exercises. So the Course in Miracles, the bit that I focus on, there's 365 lessons. You can do one lesson a day, but it doesn't really matter. We'll be studying one of the lessons today, which is lesson 31, which is I'm not a victim of the world I see. And that for me, I think, would be a very good lesson for today for all of us, new and old, which is that it's my ego that gets hooked up into the external world, you see. So if, for example, if I haven't got enough money in my bank account, I see, oh, I'm a victim of not having enough money in my bank account. Or if this person doesn't like me, I'm a victim of that person not liking me. Or if it's not sunny today, I'm a victim of the weather. Or, you know, in terms of, if I see some kind of duality or split within my personality, then I can find out in what way am I split. So I'm not a victim, for example, of my bad behavior. So you just apply the lessons. Each lesson helps to deconstruct the ego. And the fundamental basis, Hawkins' research, I mean, please do take what you want and leave the rest. But Hawkins did something called kinesiology, which some of you may be familiar with, some of you may not be familiar with. Muscle testing, they found, like chiropractors and kinesiologists, there was a guy called Dr Goodhart in the 1960s, and then someone called Dr Diamond later on. And they found, like, if, for example, you hold rat poison and you test the muscle strength of the human body, the muscles become weak when you're putting rat poison to the acupuncture meridians. So, and if you hold an organic apple, the muscles stayed strong. And Hawkins found that you could make spiritual statements to find out the truth or falsehood of various statements. He came up with a map of consciousness, but essentially, and a description. So the thing of, the course is very much going into removing the blocks to the feeling or the sense of separation or isolation. So when I at the point where I got kidney failure about 16 years ago, I would say I had a very, very inflated ego, meaning that I was chasing power, money and prestige. I was also a food addict and I was indulging in food addiction and everything, and I had huge low self-esteem, but on the outside I tried to portray an image of being important. So all of that, and the main characteristic I would say with that, one of the main characteristics of inflated ego is a very, very rapid thoughts. You know, my thoughts are going at 100 miles an hour. I need to do this, I need to achieve that, I need to change that. If only that person would be different, if only my boss would be different. Just a frantic, never-ending cycle of unending thoughts and unhappiness, and addiction and chasing and being in the future all the time and just obsessed about everything. So that's what I'd call an inflated ego. That's what I had. And that led for me to the point of near death and insanity, because everything collapsed, I couldn't rest, I was on adrenaline all the time, and there was just a breakdown of the body. And I was very, very selfish and manipulative as well in that state of mind. So I got the kidney failure, which is what I needed. It was like a spiritual awakening. It was like you can't live your life like that, you know, with a head that goes 100 miles an hour. That's just, I would say, is just trying to find peace in everything that's external, you see. If only that person said they liked me, then I could be happy and at peace. If only, you know, my boss gave me a promotion, then I would be happy based on that outcome. If only I could, you know, if only I could lose some weight, then I'd be happy. So it's like my peace, my inner happiness and my peace is conditional on my thoughts achieving something or getting recognition or someone liking me, or my thoughts about my own self, or whether I was good or bad, or whether I was perfect or not. So it was like, it was a never-ending, it was a no-win, actually. You could never win, because even if I got the promotion, it wasn't good enough. I'd have to get the next promotion. Or even if the girl liked me, then she wasn't good enough. I had to find a different girl, you see, so it never worked. So it's like, so, you know, how can I get peace? How can I feel connected to everyone? How can I come from a place of authenticity and love, which is not mired by this, what I call my ego, all these programmed ideas, like from childhood, You know, you need to be academically successful. You need to be thin. You need to have success in terms of the world's collective belief systems. All of those things. I had all of these ideas, and they were not allowing me to be at peace. They were not allowing me to just be at rest and to connect to people from a place of inner peace, rather than trying to find peace in what people thought of me, what my career position, or what I thought of myself. And all the dualities and the splits in my personality that arose out of that, which was unending inner conflict. So, I mean, the miracles I've had in terms of health, the miracles I've had in terms of my relationships with my mother, you know, have been enormous. And it's just by doing the three, I mean, the few major things I did. One was 12 steps, but of course in miracles, doing the lessons every day. If you get past the languaging, each lesson is deconstructing your belief systems from a different angle. Great fear comes up with all spiritual work. I would say with therapy, welcome. With therapy, with therapy. Oh, hi, welcome. Welcome.
Okay.
Yeah, sit on the couch. Yeah, you might be able to get forward. Yeah. This is safe. Yeah. So you can, yeah, not be so far away.
Are you okay? Do you need extra? Sorry.
No, that's fine. Welcome, welcome. So I was just saying, so yeah, each lesson is just trying to describe, but basically let go of thoughts and belief systems that I'm holding. With all spiritual work comes up great fear of, if you let go of all your beliefs, all your judgments, all the personality conflicts within, all the, if only I'm successful, then I can be happy, if only that person likes me, then I can be happy. Great fear and terror will come up in releasing all of these belief systems. It's like, this is my identity. You know, if I let go of, you know, I like pineapple and I need that person to like me, and if only I can be successful, then I can be happy. If I let go of all of these ideas that my ego has been filtering the world with, then what will be left? And for me, that's the difference between spirituality and therapy. Therapy is very much reconstructing the ego, or having constructive belief systems and letting go of negative belief systems or positive points of view, whereas, or having positive self-esteem. Whereas spirituality, for me, is more letting go of the ego and connecting to a peace, a stillness, a serenity that lies within. I mean, for me, the Course in Miracles, a non-duality, if you're into Ramana or Muji, it's very much, and I love quoting St. Francis, who's a famous mystic, and he said, not in the religious sense, but he said, it's in dying that one is born to eternal life, meaning in the death of the ego, one is born to an eternal peace, stillness, and silence that is always here. And another thing for me that St. Francis did, which is also correlated with the Course and also non-duality teachings, is that, and very much for me, at the centre of my own practice, is that St. Francis said, what you're looking for is where you're looking from. What you're looking for is where you're looking from. So the ego is always looking for something out there. Yeah, and the ego is always looking. If I could change that, if I could get that person to like me, if I could be more successful, and it's always like trying to find peace by looking outside. Whereas, what is the place where you're looking from? And that place for me is actually the place before the ego. I call it the observer or the witnesser. And it observes all thoughts coming and going, but it's not in the level of the thoughts. So For me, spirituality is about recognizing something eternal, something still within, which is prior to the field of thinking, you see. And when you can rest in that stillness and that peace, then one can come from the authenticity of recognizing and being. Someone mentioned the word beingness. You know, it's a presence or a stillness which is not in the field of the thinkingness.